Horchatas. There's my camera. How are you guys? Welcome back to the Clean Hamster Podcast. This is episode 136, which is insane because that's like a ton. You know what I mean? I have a super duper special guest. He's a fantastic comedian, content creator, entertainer, and musician. His name is Danny Gonzalez. So, Danny, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Wow, dude! Thank you for the intro. What a sweet intro.
Well, you deserve it. You check a lot of boxes. You got your hand in a lot of different pots. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose I do, come to think of it.
Yeah, and I think that you're in a special category of person that I am lucky to be affiliated with, and that's pretty neat because we know a lot of the same people, and we've all kind of seen each other, thrive in our elements, and that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool how all the different people you meet through doing this type of thing. Like, if I think back to like 5 years ago when I was like just starting to do YouTube, like I did not have nearly as many friends, and probably would not today have nearly as many friends as I would if I did something besides YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about how. Actually, I've mentioned it on this podcast before, how when I briefly met you when you were on the tour with Drew and when Curtis was your opener, I briefly met you in a green room at the PlayStation Theater in Times Square, and that was a lot. But also, I was like, I don't know if I should be meeting like someone while they're in the middle of like the tour, like, you know what I mean? I actually like Jenna, our mutual friend Jenna, Curtis's girlfriend, Curtis's partner, and she was like, "Oh, cool, you get to meet Danny and Drew now." I was like, "They're coming off a stage from a show that they've been doing like for so long at this point." Actually, no, well, like I'm sure rehearsing and whatnot. Like, imagine, like, what the hell were your days like on that tour?
It was pretty crazy, and you, in fairness, you did probably pick like the weirdest show to come to.
Yeah.
It was like we were somehow performing in Times Square, and it was like an insanely stressful show because I think at the very beginning of the show, like all of the power went out.
Yeah, there was huge technical difficulties.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a wild time to meet, and I think we might have said like hi and spoken at like exchange pleasantries, but I don't really know if anything went beyond that. Probably for the best, because I was probably stressed out of my mind. I honestly don't really remember the headspace I was in during that show, but yeah, I mean, I remember meeting you guys. I do remember feeling like, oh, they're probably gonna go have fun after this show, and we have to like drive to Canada or something now.
Yeah.
So we didn't even get to do anything fun with you guys.
Yeah, it's okay. I remember that when I remember Curtis and I were in New York for something a few months before that, and someone tweeted, "Just saw Danny Gonzalez and Curtis Connor at the airport. I'm freaking out." And then Curtis responded, "That was Dean." And then...
Oh, yeah! I think Curtis showed me that, too.
And then you chimed in, and I was like, I do, like, a little. I kind of see it, especially not now. My hair's silver, but, like, that's flattering, I guess. I was fucking stoked. I was like, that's pretty sweet. That's actually super nice.
You know what? I think we'd both be lucky to be compared to each other, you know?
That's very sweet of you to say. I think, but yeah, I was thinking about how, like, I got to meet you when you were doing your thing. Like, that show was, like, something that was super special to all you guys. And, like, you got to show, like, how long was that whole performance in, like, production before you got to, like, actually bring it to a stage and bring it across America?
Shit, I don't know. So that tour was in September of 2019.
I'll never forget September of 2019.
We were, it was a crazy.
Because you guys
month,
performed
dude.
on 9/11, 2019 in
Hey,
Times
we don't need
Square.
to talk about that, man. We don't need to talk about the date we performed in New York. It's September.
Wait, can I tell you something about something else that happened that day?
Yeah.
I was at a crosswalk on Canal Street with my good friend Jacob Sharp and my other good friend Marshall Whalen, who's just a tall person. That's all he is. And because we got an Airbnb in Brooklyn, we're like, you're going to see Curtis's show. It'll be sick to show face. Like, that day,
I remember
we
you
were like,
guys
okay,
were
cool.
showing face at that show.
Man,
dude.
showing face
awesome.
at that show, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So that afternoon before your show that evening, we were at a crosswalk on Canal Street. It was September 11th, 2019, and a white Rolls Royce pulled up to the red light, blasting "Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson, and there was a man inside of the car wearing a white suit, and it was Tracy Morgan.
Whoa, no, wait. Have you told me this story before, or maybe
I may have.
Okay, yeah,
But like
That's
that, and he was, and he, cause he, like, it's New York City, it's a crowd, like, it's an arm's length away. He's just like blasting "Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson, wearing the suit that's the same color as his car. It's convertible. It's Tracy Morgan, and then my friend Marshall was like, "Hey, Tracy," and he went, "What's up?" And then
Did he say it at a normal volume like you just said it? Because I'm picturing Tracy Morgan blasting music and someone just being like, "Hey, Tracy, what's up?"
well, like it was just like, "Oh, hey, Tracy," like
Yeah,
he was
okay,
expecting him. He said that, and I thought that was super funny. He just went, "What's up?" And then I think he knew that he had like 3 seconds before the light was going to go from red to green. So he started accelerating. And while he was already accelerating, the light turned green. And I went, oh, cool. This guy knows the streets. So I thought that was
This guy's
really neat.
car controls the streets like
Exactly.
a cop car. He can change the lights.
It was like 11 a.m. maybe. It was so cool. And then we saw your guys' show. And there was technical difficulties. And I was like, this is the best city in the world.
Yeah. Which was better, our show or Tracy Morgan?
I can't lie to you. When you guys had technical difficulties, I was up there like, oh fuck.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I think it was like in the middle of our opening song, wasn't it? And,
Yes, it was.
And like everything just went black, and then we had to just
all
like
I remember
stall.
was I was like, oh, like I don't know if they have dealt with this yet. And you and Drew, like Curtis did his set. He was on backstage probably like, oh, fuck. But like you and Drew just started riffing and having fun and doing crowd work. And I was like, oh, man, what a bunch of pros. That's awesome. So I stopped
Well,
laughing
I'm
at
glad
you
it
guys
came
real
off
quick.
that way. No, I do remember, because you said that, I do remember after the show getting tweets being like, I still don't know if that was a bit or not. Like the power
Right.
going out.
Yeah.
And I remember being kind of pissed because I was like, we're not even getting credit for how good of crowd work we were doing because everybody thinks it was staged.
Yeah.
We were,
yeah,
we were
exactly.
Too good.
You
But
guys really
no,
did.
I'm
You
really
swooped
glad
right in and saved it.
Yeah. I'm glad it came off that way.
Yeah, it did. It was super. It was wicked professional.
Because we were probably shaking in our boots, dude, to be
Yeah,
quite
definitely.
honest.
You're probably you were shaking in your matching jackets 100%. Also, man, like, did you ever find yourself getting angry while wearing that outfit you had to wear and being like, oh, I look ridiculous?
Because to be angry in a glimmery
To
jacket
be angry
like that
in a
is just
glimmery
such
gold and blue jacket is so goddamn funny.
Yeah. No, well, I definitely got pissed off a few times during that tour, so yeah, I think that did happen.
Wait, I forgot that I asked a question. How long was that in production before you brought it to a stage?
Oh, I remember Drew coming to visit in like January of that year to write. That's probably when we started writing it, and we had like, vague talks of doing it beforehand. So we were kind of working on it like all year.
Yeah.
Like he would fly to me and we would write some, and then I would fly to him and we would write some, and then there was like, stuff we had to film for it too. So we would have trips to take care of that as well.
Right.
So it was like all of 2019 pretty much we were working on it.
Wow. That's so cool. What was the weirdest thing? Or like, not weirdest. Oh, it could be weirdest, but also what was a moment where you're like, there's gonna be a long time before I do this again?
The scariest thing that happened was a woman came on stage during our Florida show. Did Curtis tell you about that in
Yes.
Tampa?
In Tampa.
Yeah. That was pretty crazy. I mean, she was just like a belligerently drunk woman, so it's not like it was like it really posed any like safety risk to us, but it was just scary in the sense that like because Curtis was on stage at the time too, and we were doing because it was like the end of the show, so Curtis was like the ref. And so we were all like, doing our bit, and then I turn and she's like already on stage. So like it was just scary that like it took us that long to notice that like someone could get up on stage and like already be upon us.
Climb up on the stage. Were you in the middle of like a line?
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to rewatch a video. We were in the middle of talking, and she came up on stage and just started, like, also talking. And
Did you hear any audience, like, pitch shifting of, like, commotion?
Can't remember, but no, I probably didn't. The weirdest thing about that tour was for the first half of it, we were wearing in-ears the entire time.
Oh.
So, like, we couldn't hear the audience very well for, like, most of the shows. And halfway through, we realized, like, we don't need these for most of the bits, so we're not going to wear them. But, like, It's the type, they're, like, the things that artists, like, musical artists wear so that the crowd doesn't deafen them and they can hear what they're playing.
Yes.
But, like, we don't really need those. And as you can imagine, as a comedian, it's very important to be able to hear your audience.
Yeah. I would like to know if there's a general response, whether it's no response or something that's audible.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were almost sort of like had earplugs in while this lady was climbing on stage also.
Oh, that's...
Yeah?
Excuse me? You're going to kill us now? All right.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Okay.
Is this it? Like, man, is this it? Like, that that would suck.
Yeah, imagine being in the middle of like this show that you've been writing all year and then you just die and you don't even know why. Like, that could have happened if she like wanted to kill us.
Yeah.
We could have. But luckily, she was just a drunk lady who wanted to, like, make it about her or something. I don't remember exactly what she wanted, but...
Were you, like... Were you pondering, like, who gets drunk at our shows?
Yeah, well, it did kind of make me feel
like,
I don't
know. I had, like, one beer at your show, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to, like, focus.
Yeah. I didn't have any beers during the show, in all honesty, because I was like, I have to deliver lines, so I probably
you're like, I gotta hit my marks.
Yeah, I barely ate dinner, so.
Oh, dude, how many times did you eat standing up and just it didn't do anything for you?
Yeah, does that happen when you're on tour? Do you get like nervous before a show and don't eat?
Yeah. Or I get nervous and I order the easiest thing I think it is to make in whatever kitchen of venue we're at. And then I'm like, oh shit, all I ate today was like 45 tater tots.
Wait, so you would cook at the venue?
No, like there's usually kitchens there is what I mean.
Yeah.
So like I would order from a server.
Okay, I thought you were talking like I ordered the ingredients of the easiest thing for me to make. And I'm like, holy shit, this dude is like whipping up dinner in like a green room.
No. Yeah, our rider is a shitty little hot plate. Where I just cook a bunch of nonsense. No, I can't. Yeah. I don't know. I think like at this point, to be honest, I wouldn't compare stand-up comedy to the production that you did, because like you guys had so much tech. You guys had so many like sound cues, light cues. Like it was crazy. It was a fucking show, right? Curtis had to do stand-up and then fuck off and then come back out and like improv his little ass all over the place and just have a great time. But you guys had to like know where you were standing. He
improv his little ass.
He did. His little ass and hips. How about Curtis's little ass and hips?
You know, when he had a little dancey dance he did during that part, and it was like one of the biggest audience reactions every night. Like,
of course,
Drew and I would do like a whole ass show, and then Curtis would come on and do his little dancey dance, and that would be like it for the audience. They'd be like, "This is what we wanted."
I mean, that's true. They're like, "Woohoo! See you guys. We don't care how it ends." But
I got my rocks off to Curtis's little hips. I'm gone, dude.
Yeah, man. Curtis's little hips. Oof magoof. You know what I'm saying? I think, those are going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day. I think, did you ever come up, like, did you ever wake up one of the days when you were on tour and just be like, I'm not going to talk to the fellas until the show? just because internally you were like, I need some me time or something?
I mean, it's hard because it all blurs together, but I feel like most days we would kind of like hang out all day. I feel like as every time there would be a show, as it got closer and closer to the show, we would grow more and more silent. Like, you know, we're just like nervous. And so as it gets closer to the show, it becomes more just like, I'm going to sit and listen to music time.
Yeah.
But I feel like most days there was camaraderie and, you know, goofing around and being wacky and silly.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever have moments where you're like, I don't want to make videos while I'm on tour?
Oh yeah, for sure. That was like the hardest thing. I don't know about you, but like that the pressure of like doing a tour is like it adding also that like, hey, you have a job and you're not doing it right now and you should be doing it on top of that is like, that was like one of the hardest parts for sure.
Yeah.
And it felt like a really big risk at the time to be like, I'm just going to leave for a month and I hope that's okay. And I'll try to shoot a video beforehand. Right. So yeah, that was tough. Do you experience that too when you're on tour?
I think that we did. Jacob felt it right away. He was like, oh, this is going to be annoying. And he exclaimed that to us, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what city I want to do a podcast in. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to, like, get to the hotel room in Nashville and, like, fucking set up the camera near the window and be like, oh, yeah, that's right, I have this thing. Or, like, I would have, like, a meeting, and I'd be like, I'm on tour. Can we just, like, because everyone knows, like, where I am, and I'm doing this job every night. I am. And also, I had no clue. I had no clue that, like, I'm living a dream, it's incredible, but I was like, no, this is actually legit work, and, like, I'm feeling it. I'm talking for, like, hours every night, and then I get off stage, and man, like,
traveling is
like
hard.
Baby.
Like, traveling, like, living out of a suitcase is not fun.
It's a lot, but
yeah,
whatever. If you can do it, you can do it, but, like, I kind of like that fire under my ass of, like, I have to be here at this time, or I have to do that, and I have to get ready for that. I like that.
It is nice having a schedule, for sure.
Exactly.
One thing you said, though, was, like, the setting up a tripod in the hotel room.
Dude.
Like, that, not fun.
I fucking hate it.
In my office here, I have, like, my camera is, like, on a tripod that is mounted to my desk. Everything is, like, stationary, so I couldn't possibly move it and have to reset up. Yeah. So I just, like, turn on the camera and press record, and then it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So the thought of, like, being out in like a tour bus or a hotel room and having to like stack books on top of each other to make a tripod or something is the most stressful thing to me.
Stack them and just it sucks, man. But also, dude, like, we walk. Yeah.
I think it was in New York. Curtis and Drew and I were gonna film a video, and we were like, oh shit, we don't have a light. So we walked like 3 miles to go to a Best Buy, and then we got there and they didn't have any ring lights, and so then we just walked home back to the hotel, and then we filmed the whole last video in front of the window because that's like the only thing that was giving off light. And then like as we were just kind of like hanging out after the video, like Drew pressed some button, and the whole bed frame basically turned into a ring light. Like the hotel we were staying at. Oh. The bed was like one giant light, and we were
there was like probably like those like strip lights behind the frame.
Yeah. And it was like, we could have just fucking used this the whole time.
Ugh. Also, going into your buddy's room after he's done filming a video, man, it's so like, it's just, you're like, like Jake would be like, come hang out. And we like watch TV or something before, and like going into like someone's room who was just like, you could feel the air in there. Like, oh, you were just talking and sweating, weren't you?
It's kind of like going into a room where someone's recently had sex, right? Where it's just kind of like, I can tell what just happened in here, and I don't like it.
I have 3 guesses. You just jerked off back to back. You filmed a 30-minute commentary video. Or you had, like, a dirty, stinky, like, sweaty nap. With, like, a mouth-open snore.
Yeah. And newsflash, it was all 3.
And newsflash, I've had the best afternoon of my life.
Yeah, I took a stinky, sweaty nap, jerked off twice, and filmed a video.
Yeah, shot ropes, shot content, and
Did you just say shot ropes?
Had a little post-cum snooze. You know what's
I've
crazy
never heard,
is that
I've never
I don't
heard
even
that expression before, dude.
You've never
You
heard
can't just drop shot ropes on me and expect
You've never
me to
heard
be
shot
okay with
ropes?
that.
Welcome to the Clean Hamster podcast, Danny. This is like, it's, you know what sucks is that I'm super happy that you did this, but like, all I did there was say shot ropes and post cum snooze, and I started laughing, and you just watched. You were like, what? I did that to myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You were just like,
so
yeah,
this is the
man.
podcast where I just sort of watch Dean talk and laugh for an hour, and I'm
yeah,
just
Dean is
here.
going to ask me a few questions, but he's going to say something vulgar and just crack himself up like he's an 8-year-old.
This is tight. I
Pretty
like
much,
this.
man. But yeah, oh yeah, I also, like, when you and Laura came to the shows in New York that we did, I was, like, super stoked because I was like, oh, that's awesome that, like, someone who, like, I've met in passing, who I've seen, like, do their thing, is getting to see me do my thing tonight in my element and, like, just be, like, a active participant, just, like, here chilling with us and an audience member. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I thought I wanted to hear from your perspective. I'm not looking for you to compliment me or Jacob or Curtis, but like, what did it look like from like where you were? Like, what the fuck did our stand-up show look like to you?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was like, I know that we weren't like really friends. Because, like, we had only met, like, once before and maybe talked a little bit.
Wait,
but, like,
hang on.
I felt like...
I knew we weren't really friends because... Well, like, obviously we just met. But, like, besides that, I kept doing, like, that fucking weird, like, oh, orgasm face, like, as a bit. I'm not going to do it. But, like, I did it, like, 4 or 5 times. Like, the first day you were there, just to get a laugh of whatever people sitting in the green room with us. And you were sitting... I told this story on the podcast, actually. And you were just sitting like this. And you were like... Are you going to keep doing that?
Did I say that?
And I was like, I like Danny. Because, like, we had only, like, riffed for a bit in an Uber together. And then I was just like, it's like I'm about to do stand-up comedy. And you're like...
I'm not going to lie, that face does make me deeply uncomfortable.
For sure.
But I'm glad that you took that as like I'm razzing you and like we're good enough friends for me to say that, because sometimes my delivery does come off so dry that people are like, is Danny mad at me and does he hate me? So I'm glad.
But like I'm the same, like, but that's the thing. I'm the kind of person that's like, man, if I take a car ride with you for 15 minutes, which is what the fuck happened, I'm like, I'm gonna talk to this guy like I've known him for over a decade.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Since I didn't know you guys that well, I was very pleasantly surprised that you guys were so like warm and inviting. Like, it was probably, I think we got there on like Friday night, and by like the end of the shows on Friday, I was like, we've known each other for years. This is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just want, like, I never like thinking like, oh, here's this person that I've seen on a screen. I don't like that. I'll always approach something like it's just like I've never met you before. I don't want to ever have something like that blocking my view of like how I'm gonna see someone or like take something they say. Like, you literally were just like, are you gonna keep doing that? And I was like, oh, that's something I would say to someone, and that's awesome because now I see that other pairs of eyes who are seeing me doing this might be like, yeah, I want him to stop doing that a little bit, but I don't know how to say it. But you said it perfectly by just asking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy's funny.
That's kind of my style. I'm not going to make a big stink about... Actually, no, I'm going to say that's probably the least passive I could have been. I could have been way more passive. That's like a dad thing to say.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Yeah, that's something my dad would say, like, if I would have, like, sleepovers.
You almost said it not looking at me. And I was like...
Right. Yeah, that's a dad move.
It is, yeah.
I was gonna say it's like having a sleepover with friends and you're still making noise at like 3 a.m. and your dad comes in and is like, "Are you guys gonna make noise all night?"
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe. It's
Is
like
the
so
fun?
you're
Is
just
it? Are we done? Can we just talk like people? Can we act normal, please? Oh, I get
Exactly.
it. You got a little show, but that's enough of that face, please.
Oh, but back to the experience of the shows.
Oh yeah.
It was really cool seeing you guys all do stand up because for one, like I know you guys through Curtis, so I was like, oh, they're gonna all be like Curtis, but you guys were like, such distinct voices, while all still being like obviously palatable to the same audience. But I was like,
Great
I
word.
didn't know
Thank
Dean
you.
is like. I didn't know Dean and Jacob are like this in front of an audience because I'd never seen you guys do stand up before.
Right.
So it was really cool to see you guys like that too. It was also cool for the whole time we were on tour. I don't go see like comedy shows often. And the whole time we were on tour, I was like, I don't know if I've ever like been to like a big comedy show before.
Yeah.
And I will never get to sit in the audience and like watch this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just cool to like be in the audience and like watch my friends do something and also not have to have the stress of like, I'm up next.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Exactly. Yeah, you fully relaxed and like night off, chilling. I get to just be an audience member and hang out. And I remember Jake Doolittle, who's a friend of the podcast and a friend
My
of ours.
man.
That guy, dude, that fucking guy. He goes, like when I got off stage, and he was like, I took pictures of Danny laughing. He really liked your set, and I was like, he's not like, what is he like gonna be like my agent? Like, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
also
but like,
send me the pics of me laughing, dude. I want to see
he had a
his face.
mask on, and you could just see because your eyes were squinting. I was like, oh yeah, he is laughing. That's great. That's great to see.
Or he's pissed off. I'm like,
Yeah. That'd be so funny if while I was doing a joke, you went, are you going to keep doing that?
you gotta keep saying all that annoying shit up there, or are we gonna get to Curtis? Come on, let's go.
That's a really cool observation, man.
Oh my god.
Danny!
I'm getting heckled by a friend at a comedy show.
You going to keep doing that? Remember I said that backstage? You guys don't know.
You guys don't
Anyway.
know, but the show's about me now.
Anyway, go ahead, dummy. Cool opener. Well, whatever. Also, like, getting heckled by, it happened a few times, but getting heckled by, like, people who we thought, like, just were biased towards us. You know what I mean? Because we are incredibly lucky that it's people who are fans of Curtis, fans of Jacob, and fans of me, or all three. Like, we're
Right.
super lucky that it's not, that rarely it's not someone being like, a comedy show. Let's step inside.
Yeah, that's a nightmare for sure.
That's crazy, right? Like, we are very lucky. And that makes us try harder, too, because we're not just, like, we're not going to go up there and fuck around because no matter what, we're going to get a laugh because they're already fans of us. We can't approach anything like that. So, like, we bring it. Like, we have to, like, try our hardest because still, it's most people's first live comedy show because
Yeah.
of our demographic. And that's totally understandable. And when it's people's first comedy show, they literally think, like, actually, this happens with just most comedy shows. It's the most oddly, like, disrespected live performance. Because it's just like people just assume, and it's not their fault for assuming because everyone has to learn somehow, that they can just like interject and participate. Like,
Right.
like it's a comment section.
Yeah, or like it's like a musical concert where like if you scream, like no one will hear you anyway because everybody's screaming. So it's
Right,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And like there were a few times where like I was like, I'm really good at not responding. Like if I'm in the middle of saying something, like maybe after I'm done my point, I'll do something. But like there was one where I was in the middle of a joke or a setup of a joke, and I just heard someone be like, "Where did you get your boots?" And I was just like, I just finished the joke, and I was like, I got them at this store in Toronto. You asked me where I got my boots. And she was just like, oh, I didn't think you heard that. And I go, I did hear it. You said it right to me, and you're sitting right there.
She didn't think you would hear it?
Dude, I don't know what it is. When you're on a stage, sometimes people are like, that's not a real guy. who knows we exist or something. I don't know what the process is behind that, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you're just like, why'd you do that? The funniest fucking thing in the world was at the show. I think you were at this show, in Levittown, New York, where like when I bring the mic stand back and I put the mic in it because I'm about to introduce Curtis, the headliner, and like there was a break in me saying something. There was like just a moment where you could it's dead. There was a moment where there was dead air, and I just hear a girl go, "Yeah, it was $40."
I remember this. Yeah.
and she was like sitting right there, and I was just like, wait, why now? Why now? To ask
It's
how
time
much
to talk about the price of the meal.
the poster. It was
It's
the poster.
time. Oh, the poster.
It was the poster. And I was like, why now to ask how much something was? And also, what does that say about my comedy that she was like, now's probably a good time to ask?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's the most disheartening thing is like you can't help but take it a little bit personally if someone's talking about something besides you during your set.
I was literally like in the middle of being like, Curtis changed my life. He's the reason why I'm up here. And she was like, it was $40. I was like, oh my God.
So I've never been to that many stand-up shows. Would you say that it was like more heckling than if you went to go see like fucking
an established comedian?
Jeff Dunham? I don't know. Yeah.
One who doesn't also have a YouTube presence?
Yeah.
Yeah. Comedy fans are weird, man. But like, yeah, like they're chatty. Like I said, it's not their fault. Like it is like when Curtis posts like, oh fuck, here are the dates, the stand up tour, Dean and Jacob are my openers. That is most people's first comedy show. It just is, and it's great because like it's an honor to be like the first person they see live. That's so cool. They'll never forget that. But what comes with that is like they don't know the fucking rules and regulations of like comedy show etiquette. And sometimes it's a shit awakening when, like, because my favorite thing in the world is that, like, Curtis gets pissy when he, like, if he gets interrupted or something, because, like, he is very, like, conversational and just slow, and it's nice, and he just makes everyone very comfortable with his comedy style. Mm-hmm. But, like, sometimes in the middle of, like, him talking, you'll just hear someone say something that they would say, like, in a comment section of his. And
right.
It's to be expected. It's whatever. Anything could happen on a live performance. But, like, he'll straight up... Curtis joking, same thing with you. Like, that dry, like, delivery is, like, really quick. Like, you could feel people go, oh, he's so mad at me. But I'm like, oh, no, that's just Curtis, like, kind of hiding that he might be mad, but he's doing actually really well. And it's the funniest thing to see because he's like... oh man, like, I can't tell anyone to shut up because then everyone's going to go, hey, don't tell people to shut up. But it's like, no, but actually shut up. I'm trying to do a joke. Like, you paid. Just, you got to, come on, let's all be polite.
Yeah, it's a weird line to have to walk, to be like, okay, you are being, like, disrespectful and this is not how, like, the audience is supposed to act. But it's also, like, you can't, like, be, like, mean. Because these are, like, I mean... these are just, like, regular people who probably didn't know the etiquette or just, like...
Exactly.
I mean, people do weird things when they are seeing people that they meet online all the time. Like, I've done weird things when I've met, like, people that I really look up to.
Yeah.
And just, like, you know, you don't know what to say sometimes. And, like, so I get that. It's just, like, weird. It's, like, you got to find the right balance of, like, that's not okay. But also, like... I get it, and we're going to move on now, or whatever.
We did, when Curtis and I did shows at City Winery in New York City, which was crazy, because they just, like, those shows just, like, fell into our lap, and that venue was, like, not for two guys who have made videos before together to perform at. It's just not made for that. It was beautiful, but it's, like, a place where you have, like, a fucking wedding reception.
Like, it's, like, what kind of venue is it?
It's,
is
okay, so
like
I would, it's
winery?
100% a music venue. That's what it is.
Okay.
Very high ceilings, huge stage for like a 5-piece band. Like James Taylor sells it out like every weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we got there, the owner was like, Chris Martin was here last weekend, and he was like floating, and we were like, what? I don't know.
Like he was legitimately levitating?
Yeah, I guess Chris Martin can fucking float.
It was insane. It was sorcery. He is
yeah,
a dark
it was
wizard.
insane. People were running around screaming. But
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like a YouTuber type venue. If
it
dudes
was.
are literally
No matter what, we
levitating.
can advertise it as a stand-up comedy show as much as we want. But no matter what, people are coming because they might have seen us on the internet before, and that's great. Appreciate the support. But this room was like, the ceilings were like fucking 100 feet high. The room wasn't deep. It was like kind of shallow. It was just a big rectangle. So like the acoustics, the audio is super weird. It's a place where like conferences are held. It's just strange.
Yeah, like a business retreat.
Exactly.
Type
And
thing.
it's like near the water. There's like dinner service happening outside. Like literally if people looked in, they're like, who's that guy talking to the mic?
Sounds beautiful though.
It was gorgeous. But it was disrespectful that I was on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
you were
this isn't...
defiling that beautiful venue.
I was just like, how about Pornhub? And everyone, like, you could hear like cutlery clattering and shit. And I was just like, this is fucking weird. But they made it like hard for us, like not on purpose, but it was like, we got up there and we were like, oh, I'm sure this is going to be great because a lot of people are here. No. Sure, the room can fit 500 people, but like everyone's talking and the sound carries, like the fucking ceilings are so high and we're just trying to tell jokes and like there's so much stage space and like we don't really move that much. It was just super weird and they made us work for our laughs big time because like it was like I had to open for him. Unfortunately, Jacob couldn't make it to those shows. I had to open for Curtis and so I had to like find that balance of being like, hey guys, we want to be the best for you. We want to be, like, I just kissed ass, basically, because, like, I just want everyone to like me. And so I was like, I want you guys to know that I understand this might be some of your first comedy show. If you have something to say, like, please refrain from, like, yelling out. We want to be the best versions of ourselves for you, like, whatever I came up with on the spot, I don't know. But, like,
hell yeah, dude.
Still, like, a table dropped a fork, like, 6 times during Curtis's set, and he was just like, the fucking forks! What's up with the forks over there, guys? Like, got, like, legit pissed.
This place has the slipperiest forks known to man, dude.
Man, it was so funny because we had to do a 7 p.m. show and a 9 p.m. show. 7 p.m., legit. Every table's, like, eating burgers and, like, steaks.
Why is it always the weird venues that you have to do 2 shows at? Because we had, like, the worst venue ever for one of our shows.
Yeah.
And it was, like, one of the only ones on our whole tour that it was, like, we had to do 2 shows there.
Why was it so weird? What happened?
It was, like, the type of... So it was in Indianapolis, but it wasn't, like, in the city. It was, like, somehow in Indianapolis, but in the middle of nowhere at the same time. Okay. And it was, like, the type of venue you would go to see, like, a heavy metal underground band perform. So it was, like, there were not supposed to be chairs in there, but somehow they brought in, like, 900 chairs.
Yeah.
And... there was no AC, and it was, like, the beginning of September.
Oh.
And the stage was, like, tiny, also. Like, it was a weird venue. Our green room had a stripper pole in it.
Really?
It was just, like, yeah, this was not a comedy venue. We were dying on stage from the heat. I'm sure that everybody in the crowd was, like, sweating, too. It was just, like, a weird-ass place.
Wow. Did you
Not
feel
good.
any
We had to do 2
pushback
shows
from them?
there.
Like the audience?
I mean, I definitely felt bad. I know that they had to be hot. I can't remember off the top of my head if we got, like, if people were upset or not. I think probably people were understanding, but also, like, this is a weird place for a comedy show.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so, wow.
And that was our second venue. It was, like, we did Illinois and then straight to that place, and we were like, is our whole tour gonna be places like this?
Like what's the vibe on the bus like after, like, when you get on and you're like, okay, by the way, okay, did you make any, like, major changes to anything that had to do with the show, like, while in the middle of a tour, like, after a show? Like, were you like, we gotta stop doing that, or we have to do that differently?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The first time we did the show, like, our very first show was, like, 3 hours long.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because we
rude.
had a bunch of other bits. We had, yeah, it was crazy. It was.
I would
we
actually
didn't
be
realize
so
it.
angry.
Yeah, we fucked up on that. There were a bunch of bits that we cut. There was a, Drew had a bit that was a TED Talk of how he made the Road Work Ahead Vine. And that in itself was like a half an hour or something. And it was so funny. It was really, really good. And I was like really upset that we had to cut it. But it was like, it was just him on stage for like a half an hour. And I was just like, I'll fuck off and go backstage. So yeah, we cut that and we cut a bunch of bits down. Ironically though, like every time And throughout this show, I think we would cut an entire bit, but what would end up happening is then we would add like improv bits to the rest of the show. So like we would cut a bit out and then it would get longer and longer, and then we'd cut another whole chunk out and it would get longer and longer. So like every night we were still like almost running over time.
So you would cut something but be like, oh, now there's just tons of more space to fuck around.
Right.
So it's like you never cut something.
Exactly.
That's so
we were kind of making changes the entire tour, and by the end of it, I think that the show was like as good as it could be. Like we were really happy with it at the end. At the beginning, it was like very stiff and like, it was very like produced, and it just I feel like it felt like very much like we were reading lines off a script at the beginning, and then as we went on, it got a lot more loose and fun. So
like at what point was it just complete muscle memory, just like no stress?
Oh, I don't know, because we rehearsed it a lot, so I feel like in terms of like having the lines down, I don't know if that was ever really an issue, because for like 2 weeks before the first show, we rented out a theater in like rural Illinois, and we're like running it there. That's where we got all like the tech down and stuff. So we did like a ton of rehearsals there, but so I don't know if that was ever an issue. So I feel like it was probably muscle memory pretty early on.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that's we had to figure out like our best shit. Like the first run of the tour, I literally just looked at the poster like a douchebag, but like, the first run, I don't know, it's kind of...
Dude, what's funny, that reminds me, my parents, the only time I ever see the poster from our show is when I go over to my parents' house, and it's in my like, if you can picture like the stairway down to a basement.
Yeah.
Like on the stairs down to the basement, there's just like the first thing you see when you open the door to the basement is like the poster of me, Drew, and Curtis. And it's just funny that it's at my parents' house, because it feels like in a movie when like a guy goes home back to his roots and he like sees like his old band or something, and he's like, oh, I got to get the gang back together or something. It's like every time I go over to my parents' house, I'm confronted with like, damn, that was the time of my life.
If you ever go home to
I
visit
should give him a call.
If you ever go home to visit your parents and you're like, I should call the guys, and they both show up in costume at the front door of where your parents live, that'd be so funny.
That'd be awesome. They're like, Danny, we were just thinking the same thing, man.
Yeah.
We got the first flight over here the second we heard.
We heard you was in town. Is it true? Is you in town?
And I'm like, you guys don't even live around here.
Yeah,
what do you mean,
guys
was I in
flew
town?
here because you heard that I was back and hanging out with my parents?
I live 10 minutes away from my parents. You guys live 12 hours away from my parents.
Do you actually live 10 minutes away from your parents?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I live 10 minutes away from my dad.
That's tight.
It's cool. But I talked about this on the last episode, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'm not. My dad is a twice divorced man, and he's 66 years old. He's fantastic, but I can't fucking avoid him. You know what I mean? He lives like...
So are you living close to where you grew up, or did he move to be close to you type situation?
He moved... Okay, so I don't live close to where I grew up. My dad just ended up back in this city because like he grew up here too. But like for years and years he lived outside the city and stuff, and like, when he had a family and shit. And then he recently got an apartment that's like mine. So like he's lived like this full circle life, and he's back to like how he used to live when he was like my age. Like he also has a
back to 20-year-old bachelor.
He also has a basement apartment like me. Like we have literally the most similar apartments, and he's just like, I don't have a wife, and I don't give a shit.
Do you have a basement apartment?
Yeah.
Is it like a house, or is it like an apartment building and you just live in the basement?
It's a house, and I live in the basement of it.
Dude, we the last house we lived in, we had we had like a basement lady.
Yeah.
And I like hardly ever saw her. But it's just kind of interesting to meet somebody on the other side, because like we didn't know her.
Yeah.
We heard her crying sometimes.
Crying.
Yeah. We heard she would like, the only time I would ever see her would be like walking to and from my car, and we'd be like passing each other.
Yeah.
But
do you ever know her name?
We had this weird relationship. No, I don't know her name.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like
if I thought really hard, I might.
That's who I am in this house. There's a person who there's a couple that lives above me, and there's one person that lives above them, and I know I'm the troublemaker. I just know I'm the troublemaker because like when there's no one below you, you're like, I can't get any fucking lower. So you just have this like I don't know. I know I'm the loudest, but I don't care. I've been so used to hearing footsteps above me forever. If I hear something below me one day, I'm gonna move because that's the grave. That's the scariest thing ever.
That's for sure terrifying.
Oh my god! Could you imagine living in a basement and all of a sudden you just like feel something like oh fuck that! That's so scary. But yeah, I don't think like I don't know like I know I've been in this house the longest, so every time like I'm the guy who's like if your laundry is in the thing, I'm taking it out and putting it on top of the thing. And and you just have to deal with that.
Yeah,
put a timer
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
It is.
You could even get a new hamper and just put it by the thing and then just put their clothes in there and just be like, this is the clothes hamper for when your clothes is out of the thing.
love that is spending money to be passive aggressive is some of the funniest shit of all time.
Because then it's almost like you're taking care of their clothes. Like you bought a place for it, you know?
Do you want to hear the craziest way anyone's ever spent money to be passive aggressive and make a point?
I would like to, yeah.
Okay, we are at, we can end it after this. It's been 45.
This will be a good story to end on, I bet.
Thank you. And you know what? There's that dry delivery again, which I love. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to sound genuine, but I'm glad it came off that way.
It's okay. I did that the other day too. I said like, "Oh, I'm really excited" to my mom, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck." I sounded like I wasn't. I am though, and having to explain it is always a little treat. But anyway, my stepmom from back in the day, one time I don't know if I fucking told this story on the podcast, so this could be great. But I used to like jerk off a ton when I was 15, and I would just use hang on, and I would just use Kleenex and just throw it behind like my my nightstand in like this corner. Like basically like just imagine like just fucking Kleenex piling and piling up.
So you just had like a crusty corner type?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And my stepmom was a bad woman, and she would just go into me and my brother's rooms like during the day and just clean, just like be in our space, and it was very intrusive. And she like found that corner and was like disgusted. And so when I got home from school, she was like, "Hey, I found your like gross little corner, and I have a few suggestions." And I was just like, "Oh, no thank you." Like it was really like uncomfortable. I just ran upstairs and I was like, "No thank you, no thank you."
The most uncomfortable confrontation
it was
possible.
Unbelievable.
Holy shit.
I was like, "No thank you. I'm good." And then a few days later, I come home from school and there's just like two piles, of washcloths on my bed. And I was like, "What?" And then during dinner, my stepmom was like, "Do you see the washcloths that I left on your bed?" And I was like, "Yeah." "You left those?" And she was like, yeah. So I was thinking, instead of just wasting so much Kleenex, you can just use those and I'll wash them for you. I swear to God.
She wanted your cum to be a little more economical. I can understand that.
Yeah.
She's like, we're going through so much Kleenex here. Let me wash your cum rags.
Oh no, I get that part. I'm like, just listen, lady, we only got one Earth. Love ya. That's great. Anyone who's team cum, that's neat. But like, just man, like my dad's like sitting right there. We're like eating. He's just like, "This is what you fucking do all day." Like it was just the weirdest vibe. My brother had already gone off to college. Like it was just the worst. She was like, "So yeah, then you can just put them in your hamper."
Was this the classic like step parent trying to win over the kid type thing?
It could have been.
Do you think? Okay.
You know, actually, not too long after that, she would actually start saying "I love you" at the end of car rides, and it chilled me to my spine. It was very strange. She'd be like, "I love you," and I'd be like, "Oh, what?" And then I remember she did it in front of one of my friends, my friend Marshall, actually, and he was just like, "Yo, did your stepmom just say she loves you?" And I was like, "I don't know what's going on. Can you just take me away from her, please?" It was the worst.
I love you, even no matter what you come in. You're my baby.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was fucked. And I remember actually, I told told her because she had a son, and like I was trying to be friends with him for a little bit because like he lived in our basement for a couple of months, and I told him I was like, your mom got me fucking jizz rags, like because I wanted to see how he would respond.
Yeah.
Because like he would just be like, so like how's like my mom, like he was kind of my age, and I was like, she bought me jizz rags.
Was he jealous?
He was just like, what? And I was like, I don't use Kleenex anymore. I use these washcloths that your mom bought at the dollar store.
Basically, I'm living in luxury that you cannot comprehend.
Night.
God damn.
Yeah, so.
Do you still have them?
No. Man, wouldn't that be something?
I wonder what happened to them. Does
too.
she still have them?
I fucking hope not.
She got those in the divorce. That was
exactly.
her sort of alimony.
You can take those, all right? You bought them for my son, you weirdo. All right, well, I think that's enough of me. This was awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
For sure, dude. You know what? That was a good story to end on. I'm going to think about that for the rest of the week.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, right?
Yeah.
And like just smiling through it, but I know the second that I end this call, I'm gonna be like, ugh, fucking come
Yeah.
on.
Oh, now I have to be alone with that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna I need to go for a walk after this.
Yeah. Well, you should, man.
Okay. All right. It's been a pleasure. It always is. I am glad that we know each other. I'm glad we're friends, and I hope we get to do more shit like this in the future. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Danny.
I know. I hope we can see each other in person soon too, man.
Definitely. I'm sure we will. You're coming on tour.
Sorry?
You'll probably be at a tour date.
Yeah.
We'll
I believe that there will be a show near me. I believe it in my heart.
Most definitely, yeah.
Tight. Well, then I'll see you then, bud.
I'll see you then, pal. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you later.